Everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House. This is part 3 of our Halloween series. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out parts 1 and 2. They have a lot of great crafts. So let's start with project 1. I have these bottles left over from some parties, I guess you'd say. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually scrape off any of the stickers or decals and stuff like that from this. They have a couple of things there, so I'm just using a scraper. Once I have all those off, I'm going to take some alcohol and clean the bottles of any kind of fingerprints or leftover sticky stuff, anything like that. And now I'm going to make some decals or some resin pieces. So as you saw, this is a lesson learned, and I'm not really sure why this happened. I don't know if it's because I put the coloring in, or I'm not 100% sure. So I'm using the amazing casting resin, and I'm going to mix some up to make some of these labels. And you've seen this 100 times, where it's just equal parts of A and B, and then you mix them together. This is the quick one that sets up in 10 minutes or so. Here I add the coloring to one of the cups, and now I'm going to start mixing this together. I probably should have got a clue when there was bubbles on top of that, but I just thought it was because I had shaken the bottle just a little bit. And you see here, everything kind of looks fine, and now it's starting to go bad. All of a sudden, it just started kind of bubbling up, and almost like a sponge. It was like it just bubbled up, and it got really, like it was expanding. It was really odd. So I let that kind of get cured a little bit so I could take it out, and now I'm going to go ahead and use the Texpert resin, and this is the longer setup. Actually, this resin only takes about 4 hours to set up, so it's not like a leave overnight thing. So I went ahead and poured the labels, and then once they were cured but still very soft, I wrapped them around the bottles and left it with some tape overnight. Now I'm going to go back and go ahead and clean the bottles again, because it has fingerprints and stuff on it, and I just want to make sure that I get a good adhesion. I'm going to use the Gorilla Super Glue Gel to put these labels on, and I didn't want to use the Type On because you have to, it has to set up more, and I was just kind of in a rush to get this stuff done. So I stuck this on there and put some tape on it to keep it in place. Although it really didn't need it, it set up really fast, but I just did it for more security than anything. So I went ahead and did that on each bottle, and I let it sit for a few minutes, and then went back and took the tape off, and it was fine. They were stuck really well to there. The next is I'm going to stick these on the bottles, and I got these some time ago, and I'm not sure where I got them at, but I've had them for several years. So I'm going to stick these on the front of the bottle above the label, and I'm also going to stick it on the top, the cap. So I'm just using some of that gel that I put on that little top there, just because I can kind of put it on these little decals and not glue it all over my hands. Glue myself to the bottle, I guess. So I'm just using that and sticking those down, and they stick down pretty quickly because that is a super glue gel, and that's how that. I mean, they stuck really well. So I wanted to make them look gold, so I got the dark and decrepit dust. I got some black paint and also some brown paint, and for some reason I lost the footage to this, but I just put black and brown paint on the plate, and I used a sea sponge, and I just sea sponged those colors all mixed together, and as I was sponging I did sprinkle the dark and decrepit onto the wet paint so it would stick. And that's basically all I did with that. There's no rhyme or reason. You can just put on as much paint as you want and then sprinkle the dark and decrepit dust on there, and it will actually stick to the paint and not come off. I like the way these turned out. They really do look really crusty, and I can't wait to decorate with those. So project 2 is this kind of little shadow box that I got from the Goodwill, and it was in really good shape. There wasn't anything wrong with it, so I just took off the label and cleaning off the dust on it, and I'm gonna also clean the felt stuff and the just making sure that I don't have any more sticky stuff from labels and stuff like that. So I grabbed the Shabby Chic furniture paint in licorice. I really like this paint. It does a really good job in coverage, and also too it's a really matte black, and I really like that. So I'm just going to do a couple of coats over the frame of this and set that aside, and now I'm going to start decorating the back part. So I grabbed that, some fake spider webs that I got from somewhere, the dollar store or something, and I'm just going to pull that around to make it look like there's spider webs on the back of this. I'm gonna grab my DIY wax, and I have this little skeleton there that I got from the dollar store as well, and I'm just it comes in like a little kind of there's like 5 or 6 of them, so I just cut one loose, and I'm gonna go over that with the wax to kind of give it an old look. I bought some of these butterflies off of Amazon, and these are paper. I thought that they were more like the feather ones, but they weren't. But I just went ahead and used them, so I'm just going to glue that to the back of this little skeleton. So once I have that on there, I'm going to go ahead and glue his little hands together and just kind of hold them there to make sure that they stick really well. I'm just kind of giving the wings a little bit more character by just kind of bending them. I got this moss type of stuff from Michael's, and it was like 70% off because it was part of their spring clearance stuff. So it has like these patches on there, and it's on a roll, so you just like roll it out and kind of decorate with it like that. So but I decided to pull off one of those little patches, and I'm just gonna cut it so that I could place it at the bottom of the back of the frame there. I'm just gonna glue that with some hot glue, and my idea for this is just to kind of have something for that little skeleton to stand on. So it's kind of like giving him a little platform. And I'm just going to glue that in place with the hot glue gun, and it sticks really well. So now that I have that in place, I'm just going to glue the little feet down to it, and I'm also going to glue on the back and glue that to the backing of the shadow box. So the next thing I'm going to do is just grab some random pieces of floral that I have, some wreaths. Normally I'll buy wreaths like this because they're cheaper. They're the small ones, and then I can just cut them up and use them for what I want. So I'm just grabbing a bunch of different things and just kind of using pieces to put down in places that I want to decorate, and just whatever looks good to your eye. I got these from Michael's, these little paper, I think they're like paper flowers, and I'm just gonna also glue those in place using the hot glue gun to put all that stuff down. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. It's just really what looks good to your eye. So everybody's different. I use these colors because it's the color that are in the wings, and I just wanted everything to kind of look a little more cohesive. So I had glued a little crystal to the hands of the little skeleton. I'm just putting in a spider there. I didn't actually even glue the spider down. I just set it in place, and it held there really well. So I'm just cleaning the gloss, making sure it's free of fingerprints or paint or anything like that. And once I have that cleaned and I'm satisfied with that, I'm just going to go ahead and pop that backing back in, put it in place, and then I'm just going to use scissors and cut off that extra spider webs that are there. Now that the back is in place, it's going to hold those spider webs in place as well. So because I can't stop there, I wanted to put something on the frame. I thought about doing molds and stuff, but I just didn't feel like it. So these are some of the skeleton heads that I made in the part 1 video I had left over. So I grabbed those, and I'm just going to use that glue and put it in the eyes, and then I grabbed some Swarovski crystals in orange color, and I'm just going to put those over the eyes. So I'm making 4 of those just to go on each corner of the box, and then once I get those all set up, I'm going to glue those in place on each corner just using the glue gun, and then letting the glue set up in the eyes. That glue dries clear, so you won't even be able to see it once it dries. I love doing this project, and I really like the way that it turned out. It just is very whimsical to me, and it just looks so really, I think it's kind of beautiful. So Project 3 is this cloche. It's a really nice large cloche. It is actually glass. I did get this from the Goodwill some time ago, and I've used it on several different projects, and I decided that I wanted to use it for this particular project. So I got this foam round. I've had it for a while. I think I might have got it from Hobby Lobby. I'm not sure. But what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of shaving the edges just to get rid of that hard edge. I wanted it kind of more rounded. So I'm going to use this skeleton hand that I purchased from Target. I think they were on sale for like $5 or something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and push that down into the foam and then take it out and then glue it into place. Once I have that glued into place, I'm going to grab my box of spare moss and just begin to glue that down around the hand to cover that foam round. So I wanted to give it a little bit more character, so I am using this, I don't know, what do you call it, Spanish moss or something like that. And I'm just kind of gluing that around the bottom and holding that in place with a silicone type spatula, just so that I don't burn myself, because that seems to be the name of the game with me. So I grabbed this little butterfly that I've had for a while. This one actually is more like a feathered material, and I cut the bottom off of it just so it would lay flatter, and I'm going to glue that into place with the hot glue gun on the finger of the skeleton hand. I'm grabbing some black paint, acrylic paint, because I want to color in the eyes and the nose and stuff of this little skull head, just to kind of antique it up a little. Once I have that done, again, I'm going to grab my dark wax from DIY and just go over the rest of the skull just to darken it up and make it look old. And just wiping it back after I'm done. I'm also going to do that on the hand, the skeleton hand, just to give it a little bit more character and bring out all those details as well. I have these dried flowers that came from my garden, I think a couple of years ago, and I'm just kind of broke those apart and going to glue those into place around the hand, just to kind of decorate it up, making sure that cloche fits well over there, and that's what that looks like. This you can actually set, because I didn't glue it to the base. This is a candle holder or like a little setting that I made a couple of weeks back in one of my videos. I made it out of a lamp, and so it's just a pedestal type thing. So I just put it on top of there. I didn't glue it down because I want to be able to use the cloche and the pedestal for something else if I wanted to. Project 4 is this framed art piece that I got from Facebook Marketplace. I think you've seen me doing, because I got this in a set of 2 and I used the other one for a different project a year or so ago. So I'm just going to begin by taking it apart and separating out the back. When I first got this, I thought it was one piece, but then when I started taking it apart, I realized that backing came out of it and I could take it all apart. So I love that. I'm going to go back and get my shabby chic furniture paint in licorice, and I just began to go over the frame, and I'm also going to paint the picture that went on the inside. I'm just going to give them 2 coats, making sure that I have complete coverage on both. That frame alone is gorgeous just by itself. So I'm gonna set that aside and let it dry, and once that was dried, I grabbed the Millets Pages IOD transfer, and I grabbed the egg page out of that. I had no idea. I've had this for a while. I had no idea what or if or when I would ever use this, but I found something, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that down so it fits on the backing really well. And I'm not going to cut it apart. I just cut off the edges that I didn't need, leaving the rest intact, and then laying that down and covering the whole backing with it. I wasn't quite sure if it was going to stick to the paint or not, just it being chalk paint, and I had never done that before with this paint, but I was pleasantly surprised that it stuck to that as well. So I have that there, and then I'm just going to cut a little piece of the backing and burnish all of that down really well, making sure that there's no edges that are up that anything could get caught on. And I grabbed this snake silicone mold off of Amazon, and I will have that link below. And again, I'm going to use the Texpert resin, and again, you've seen me do this 100 times, and it's just equal parts of each, and mix it together, and it sets up in 4 hours or so. I'm going to add this golden acrylic black, I think it's called carbon black, to it, and just putting enough in there to get it to the darkness that I want. I'm going to pour that into the mold, making sure that I have everything at a good level. I want to fill this whole thing up and make sure that it's full to the top of it. So I let the resin cure overnight, and now I'm going to take it out, and that's what that looks like. It actually is a really good size, and I love the way that this turned out. The snake looks so awesome. So here I have some nail glue, and this is the glue that they stick on, like nail foil and stuff like that. It's the same as kind of sizing when you use foiling and stuff. So I'm just kind of putting that in random places, and then I'm going to grab this pigment from C&D Additives, and this is called Jade Rekindled. This is a nail product, but it's the same as like mica powders. It's the same type of thing. I like this because it does have some kind of iridescent look to it. Once you put it on, it changes colors. It's really kind of foily looking, and so I'm just using this, and I'm going over the whole snake, but I'm making sure that I'm really sticking that to the places where that foil glue is that I put down. So I put it down, and then I kind of use the brush to kind of burnish that in to the places that I feel like, because you can't see that foil glue once it dries. So I'm just kind of putting it all over, and then kind of burnishing that in really well with the brush. Then I'm taking a soft cotton rag, and I'm just going over that, wiping off the excess. I was really happy with this. So now I'm going to insert the backing back into that, putting down the little staples that holds that in, and I'm going to glue this snake onto this using just hot glue or glue gun. So I just kind of centered that the best I can. And I just, felt like the snake was enough, but I wanted to kind of bring out all of those really beautiful details in the frame. So I grabbed some gold gilding wax in Empire Gold. Just using my finger, I'm just going to bring out and go over the high areas of the frame, and just covering those with the gold wax. I did go a little heavy on this, but I just wanted to make sure. I mean, these are Halloween crafts, so if you can't overdo it on Halloween, what can you do? So I just went over it with my finger, making sure to highlight all those really great details in the frame. I felt like I wanted to give it a little bit more, not a whole lot, but I grabbed some of that pigment that I used on the snake, and I'm just kind of sticking that to some areas of that gold wax that I put on there. I love how this came out. It's so beautiful. The snake is just so beautiful, highlighted, and my son says that the eggs and the snake don't make sense together, but I said snakes lay eggs. It's just, but it doesn't have to make sense. As long as it makes sense to you, then that's all that matters. So project 5 is my last project, and I'm using these little 3 oval gold frames that I purchased from a garage sale some time ago. So I'm just going to start out by taking all of these apart. The backing is actually held in by like little nails and stuff, so they're missing quite a few, but I just went ahead and took everything apart. I'm just cleaning it off, and then once I have those cleaned, I passed them off to my husband for him to spray paint with the Rust-Oleum. And this paint is a satin. It's not a flat. It's a satin paint. So I let those dry, and then again using the Texpert resin, I mix some of that up, and I'm using this IOD. I think it came out last spring, maybe. This is an IOD mold, and I'm just going to cast some of those bugs there. I started out going in one direction with this, and then decided to go in a different direction. So once those cured, I just pop them out, and I then try to choose which ones I'm going to use, because I didn't plan on using all of these. I was just kind of making enough so I had options. So I grabbed the Mod Podge in the gloss, and I'm just going to go over areas of these little bugs, making sure that I'm not putting this on super thick. I'm just kind of giving it a really light skim coat on there. Once I have that all covered, I let those dry, which only takes a matter of minutes just because the coat I put on there is really thin. So once that has set up, I grabbed some of these pigments or micas. These are just samples that I got, and I think these are actually from a car company, that this is the paint they use when they do like really high-end paint stuff, treatments on cars and stuff. So I just got those. I'm using little eyeshadow applicators, and I'm just rubbing that pigment into the areas that I put the Mod Podge gloss coats on. This stuck to the Mod Podge really well. It didn't like overwhelm it, but it just gave it kind of like a sheen, so you're able to see that black still come through there. So I have pieces of this wallpaper. It's like an embossed wallpaper. This is the wallpaper I have on the ceiling in my kitchen, and we had bought more to do an area above my oven because we took down some stuff there and wanted to use it again. So you can get this at Home Depot. So I have lots of scraps of that. So I'm just tracing the backings of those frames with a marker, and I'm just going to cut those out. I grabbed this glue stick and I just proceeded to use that to cover the backing, the cardboard part. I'm just going to cover that really well with the glue stick, and then I'm going to stick that wallpaper to that. This did a really good job. I don't normally use glue sticks to stick things down, but this wallpaper just stuck to it really well. So I have never used this glue stick before, but I got some recommendations for it, and that it was really like a high-end glue stick. So I'm really pleased with it. I think it did a really great job. So I just stuck that down and kind of let them set up for a few minutes. And then again, I grabbed the Shabby Chic Furniture chalk paint. I just put it in this little jar because I was tired of trying to like close it down and then put, wrench it back up again and stuff. So I just put it in this little jar. But it's the same paint. So I'm just going to go over the wallpaper, and I ended up doing 2 coats just because the first coat looks like, but there's so much detail in this wallpaper that once it dries you kind of see where you've missed parts of it. So 2 coats, and then I just set that aside to dry. Once that was all dried, again I grabbed the gold gilding wax and just using my finger, I'm just going to bring out all of the detail in this wallpaper. It like just brought everything out. It just looks gorgeous. Doing this, my mind just started going wild about all the things I could use this technique on, and wouldn't a whole wall of this look gorgeous, or a backing on a bookshelf or something. So once I got all of that done and in place, then I'm just going to go ahead and glue the back on here instead of using the little nails that we're holding in the backing, only because they were missing so many, and I was having trouble just trying to keep them in just with the few I had. So I just decided that I was going to go ahead and glue those in. So once I have those glued in, I just start kind of deciding which bugs I'm going to put in which frames. And once I have that decided, I just begin to glue those bugs on that backing, just using hot glue, nothing special, and it secured those bugs really well to the backing. So I hope y'all liked my projects. I hope you're enjoying the series. If you haven't checked out part 1 and 2. Please do. They're really great projects. I'm so excited about doing these projects. They have just made kind of like such a fun crafting time for me, and it gives you something different to do instead of your everyday, flower this or paint that and stuff. It kind of lets you think out of the box with these projects. So thank you so much for just sticking with me and enjoying and commenting and subscribing and all the wonderful things that y'all have done. I just appreciate it so much. Thank you for watching today and spending your time with me, and I will be having part 4 very soon. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, and I will see you soon.